She a SheEO. Yeah. Talk sweet, but she run the show. She a SheEO. She a SheEO.
Welcome to SheEO Elevate and Execute. Today, we have a dynamic guest. First of all, my name is Honie and I am your coach. And our guest name is Dana Maule. She is an executive producer. Dana, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, we were just talking off camera about our faith.
Yes.
And I think that's the first thing I would say to introduce myself. I'm a woman of faith, and I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I am a community organizer and filmmaker. And I really am excited about our conversation today and appreciate you bringing me on.
You're so welcome. Tell me about this jacket. Let's get this off the table right now, because I see a lot of pins and buttons, and it just looks really cool.
So this is the standard uniform. So my organization is called Northside Pride, and it's a nonprofit that helps amplify, promote, and preserve Black neighborhoods and Black businesses. And so a lot of the buttons you see are organizations or agencies that I support. So you got Gene for the Peeps right here, Duval Soil and Water Conservation District. He's the chair of the board. You have Earth's Farm and Market. Earth's Farm and Market is really special to me. That's the first nonprofit I ever worked for. And I was the marketing director there. And they have a farm on Moncrief Road.
I do know about the farm.
Yeah. And so they went through a brand change, and I helped design the logo. So this button is really special to me because that's their newest logo. Got Sierra Club on here. Got St. John's Riverkeeper. This is all like my conservation environmental justice stuff.
Okay.
And I also have a pin up here from Visit Jacksonville. I am an official ambassador for our Visitors Bureau.
All right.
And this is from Lufarda Travel. I met this woman. She's from Argentina. She's an Afro-Argentinian. So she's a Black woman, and she has a travel company in Argentina. And we met at a conference, and she is an advocate for representation in tourism. So that's very special to me. Over here, I got Center of Hope. I got Black in the Garden, which is another podcast that I love with Cola B. Talkin. And then this one I got from Cafe Resistance to say, who gonna stop me? Nobody. And my husband's an attorney, so I keep his law review pen on here from Thurgood Marshall. That's where he graduated from. Black Girl Magic and Jacksonville, because that's my hometown. That's where I'm from.
That's right. Okay, so you are a native of Jacksonville, and I want to ask you why did you choose to do what you do in Jacksonville, specifically on the north side? But you can explain exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So I only moved back home 9 years ago. So, and I wasn't trying to come back home. I was in Houston, Texas, loving my life, loving Houston, loving the Third Ward, and really immersing myself in the culture there. And I graduated from the University of Houston and thought I would build my career there. And my husband was just having this longing to come home, and I was resistant. But we ended up moving back home 9 years ago, and something made me feel like this calling, this coming home to serve. And my church is on the north side, and so I started plugging in there. And then I started looking at the community that our church is in on the north side. And I was like, well, I want to do more. I want to do more with kids. I want to do more with families. And that's how I found the Clara White Mission. And so that was kind of like my catalyst for some of the advocacy I was doing, working in the north side area along Moncrief Road. I started seeing people really wanting to kind of remove the negative labels from that neighborhood. So we had the urban farm there. We had a farmer's market, and there were other businesses that were really trying to bring a light to the neighborhood. And I said, well, why ain't nobody talking about these businesses? Why isn't anybody talking about the history and the culture that's in Moncrief? And come to find out that the Chitlin Circuit in the 1920s came through the Moncrief area. There was a club called the Two Spot. So this area is really known for recreation and entertainment.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I need to tell this story. So I started talking to people about this idea of a documentary, and it was kind of hard to sell to the organization I was working for. And so things transpired, and I left that organization, and I still kind of just had this desire to make this documentary. And so I kind of shared it with some other friends, and I said, if y'all help me, I'll do it, but I really need your support.
Right.
And so through the grace of God, I had about 2 or 3 different people write a nice check to get me started. And that was about a year and a half ago now. And we've been able to get Visit Jacksonville, which is our local tourism board, to support. I have to give a shout out to Pastor Carlton Jones. He wrote the first check. It was $1,500, and that's how I was able to get my script and my treatment done. And then Black Films Matter, a local film programming company here, said, hey, we're going to support you all the way. And so we've been able to shoot. We're still working on it. But that was the start. That was how I decided I would get involved and help make my community better. I would tell stories.
Okay. So you are a storyteller.
Yes.
Okay. About Jacksonville's North Side, specifically the Moncrief area.
Absolutely.
Okay,
North Side Pride all day.
Well, I am a native Jacksonvillian.
Okay.
And I've had a couple of locations. So my first location started out Dunn Avenue. I moved over to Edgewood and Lim Turner, and now I have a location on Moncrief Dinsmore.
Okay.
So I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Absolutely. So that's some territory we need to cover because, you know, the North Side is the largest neighborhood in the city of Jacksonville.
Yes.
And 87% of North Side residents are African American. And what I found, I have this map I want to share with you, but our Visitors Bureau is responsible for selling the city.
Okay.
And they have been producing marketing materials that is harmful to North Side business owners because they do not amplify or list businesses that are on the North Side. So I want to show you the map. Can I do that real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is the map here. And when you look at the icons on the map, look at the northwest quadrant.
Okay.
What do you notice?
Nothing. I see some shopping bags, but
Right. And so the northwest quadrant will be where you are in Dinsmore.
Right.
It would also include the Edgewood, Sherwood area, Durkeeville, Lim Turner, and there's dozens and dozens of businesses, Black businesses, a multitude of diverse businesses, and they're not even listed here. And this map has about 18 different spots to check out, and none of them are on the North Side. There's not even a label. And what's also happening, not only is the erasure, but it's a redefining of what the North Side is. So this right here, the label shows the North Side is outside of 295. Historically, the North Side has been everything on this side of the bridge, but now they're delegating the airport and River City Marketplace as the North Side. And so that really leaves people who live and work and play in the Northwest area, Moncrief, Myrtle Avenue, Sutel, that leaves them left out.
Right.
And so my goal is to, like I said, amplify, promote, and preserve. And we definitely gonna have to get honeybees on that map.
Yes,
we got some work to do. and some of the activities and tasks that I've taken on is identifying businesses who would be a good fit for like tourism.
Right.
Where can people go to have an experience? Where can people go for dining? Where can people go where there's a little bit of a nightlife? Where can people go that's family friendly? Where can people go that's parks?
Right.
On the North Side. So when I say North Side pride, I'm trying to instill a level of pride for business owners and residents who live on the North Side, so that people know that there's a beautiful place that you can experience in Jacksonville's North Side of town.
Okay. So tell me this. So those of us who have businesses on the for real North Side,
Yes.
Can we get in contact with you to let you know, hey, I'm over here, I'm a business and I'm doing business. How do we get in contact with you so that potentially we could be a part of this map?
Absolutely. So you can find me on social media. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. And most of the times you'll probably see me walking up and down Moncrief and Myrtle Avenue because I'm visiting and I'm actually immersing myself in the culture so that I can figure out what these experiences are and how do I talk to people about them. And a lot of what my work looks like is public affairs, being a community liaison and doing outreach for the businesses, but also for agencies like Visit Jacksonville. So the next step for someone like you is I would say, hey, how do we get your business listed on some of these websites, directories, and even connecting you with your council person.
Correct.
And so there's legislation that was just passed, and I found this out from my councilman, shout out to Reggie Gaffney Jr., and they have designated every Saturday as Small Business Saturday. And so everybody should be talking to their council person about how I can get my business amplified or promoted for Small Business Saturday.
Okay.
And so I believe you might be in District 10 based on your address, so that would be Councilwoman Jacoby Pittman. But we have to hold them accountable to helping us bringing resources to us and making sure that they connect us to the information that helps us thrive. And a lot of business owners, the main thing they want is traffic and they want promotions. And so making sure that people know who you are and where you are is how your business grows.
Right. You're so right about that. So, okay, so I heard you talk about your faith and your church. Do you want to say anything to people who are listening about faith? Do you have scripture? Do you have anything that you want to leave with our listeners today about faith, church, where you worship, in any of that?
Yeah. So when it comes to my faith, I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he's a local farmer, and we were just talking about, and I love talking about black ag. I love talking about black farmers and things like that because I also work in the conservation space, and a lot of people don't think black folks are involved in farming and agriculture, but we very much are. But talking about the farming, we were just talking about how planting those seeds is like such a great metaphor for our faith.
Yes.
And the Bible says that one plants the seed, one waters the seed, but God gets the increase. And I think that for me, I have always asked God to show me people who will plant, who will water, so that he can get the increase, because we can't do it all on our own. And so if somebody got the seed and somebody got the water, then we know that that seed is going to be in good ground and it'll grow. And so that has been encouraging for me, because I work with a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and you don't want people who will uproot your seed. You don't want people who are going to be negative, and you really have to make sure that you have that discernment to know how people are going to really help your seed grow. So that's one of the scriptures that I rely on a lot when, things get tough. And it's about endurance as well. I'm a mom,
Right.
I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm just a woman. And trying to show up as all those things really requires a level of endurance. And someone asked me, how do I define success? I said, I define success on how often and how successfully you overcome challenges, because that's really what creates longevity in a business.
Correct.
How long you can endure all the challenges that you'll face, because no one is immune to obstacles.
Right.
No matter if you have a big business or a small business, if you're a service provider or you do things that are hands-on, everybody experiences challenges. And so when you have endurance, which your faith will help you endure, that's how you achieve success.
Can you tell SheEOs who are listening, you definitely are a SheEO.
I'm a SheEO.
Yes, you
Okay,
are.
I love that. I'm gonna add that on my jacket.
Don't worry, I got
got
you. I got you.
Okay.
All right. So for the SheEO, can you tell me something that is an obstacle for you currently? Like, what is it that you would say, I need this to help me to expand, gain revenue, reach more people? What is it that you could say that you are still in need of, but maybe you just don't know how to get it, or you need more of it? Can you think of something that you could use help with?
Good question. So this is actually something I was just writing in my prayer journal. I am an artist and I am a people person. I love talking to people, but I'm also a business owner.
Right.
And learning how to build my business has been a challenge for me. And so in my prayer journal, I was like, Lord, I want to learn more about JSEB. JSEB is a local organization in Jacksonville that helps small business owners launch their business. And they do workshops and different things like that. And I have some touch points, people who have provided a resource, but I really got to lean into that, because bookkeeping and, manifesting that business plan and all those administrative things, that's not my natural affection. I like talking to the people. I like being in the community, but then you have to come back and do your administrative tasks.
Okay.
So I would love, for God to bless and for people to assist in any information or resources that will help me build a more sustainable business and a more legitimate business. I think as Black women especially, we're very creative and we're visionaries, but I think that structure and being able to formalize our businesses is something that we could become sharper on, at least for me.
Okay. All right. That's good information to know. And because you spoke it and you put it into the atmosphere, I do believe releasing helps us to gain what it is that we need, because sometimes we think about it, we have it all, we know, we write it down, but we don't actually say it out loud, to say, you know what, I really need this or that. And sometimes when you write the vision and make it plain, not just write, but say it, speak it,
Right.
people can pick that up and people can help you to do what it is that you need to do. And it could be the very people who are around you. They just don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
They just
and I
don't
love
know.
when I got your message. You was talking about the SheEO, because I know you as a cake artist and a baker.
Yes.
And so watching you from a distance, and I've seen how your business has grown and how you've, went from, doing your cakes in one location. Now you got multiple locations that you've been to. And that's been such an admiration for me to you, because I'm like, she doing it.
Yeah.
And, I've heard, you tell your story before about, getting those clients that have really been a life changer for your business. And that's been inspiring, because I see you from a distance, doing your thing as a mom. And I know it's not easy, but I see you keep going. I see you keep going. I see you using social media to promote, and even now the life coach thing. That is very admirable.
Yes. I think what motivates me to keep going is because I know that I had another guest who talked about a job. She talked about a purpose. She talked about these different aspects of life. And when she said your vocation, that is something that you have to do. Like, I have to do this. And sometimes we step into one area thinking that's what we're going to do, but that's just the foot in the door, because that's just like a platform for some of us.
Right.
Because where I started is definitely not where I'm going, but I would have never thought you know what, I'm not going to say that, because I did think that in my wildest dreams I would be doing this.
Yeah.
But it was still, time.
You had to believe your own self.
Yes.
You had to believe the dream that was bubbling up in you.
Yes.
I can
so
see that.
I can speak to other women who, you're not trying to be masculine. You're not trying to take over. You're not saying, I don't need a man. It's not about any of that.
Right.
It is about being about your business.
Absolutely.
Elevating your life with business ownership. And your life, it also includes, if you have a husband, his life, and your kids' life, and life outside of just you. But it starts with us.
Right.
And we have to know that tenacity, self-confidence, being bold, when sometimes people don't want you to be bold. They want you to be quiet. They want you to move out the way because they got something to say. I mean, all of those things can be challenging, but in this space, being a SheEO means that you want to do this thing. You're gonna do this thing. You're gonna stay in it. You're gonna fight the good fight. You're gonna do everything that you need to do in order to make your business what you want it to be. And another thing I like to talk about is success. What do you think success is?
I think you just nailed it, because I talk about my family a lot, my husband and my 3 boys, and I have really been intentional about trying to achieve some level of balance between my personal and my professional life. And I found that when I'm personally fulfilled, when I feel in my zone, personally, individually, as just me, Dana Michelle, not mom, not wife, but when
Right.
Dana Michelle is in the zone, everything else lines up.
Right.
The husband is happy, the kids is happy, because I'm not anxious and tense and resentful with them because I didn't satisfy
Right.
what was in my belly and what was in my heart and what was my vision. And so I think that, being honest with yourself, even when you talked about, that wildest dream, we be dreaming of stuff and then we scare our own self.
Right.
And it was one point, it was very recently, and I was like, okay, God, I'm just going to give me a regular job. And I started applying and kept getting rejection letters. And then I couldn't even get mad at the rejection letters. It's like, that's God telling you to stay your butt right where you at.
Yeah.
And so, success for me has been answering the call. And when you mention, your vocation is like your calling, because it's not something that somebody can fire you from.
Nope.
And I was reading this book, and it said your career calling as women in business. You have that one thing that God gave you to do that only you can do.
Yep.
You might be a cake artist and somebody else is a cake artist, but you the only cake artist like you.
Yep.
You're the only one who has your lived experiences, your perspective, your drive. It's only one Shireen. It's only one Dana. And so when I that phrase really brought me so much clarity. Your career calling, because that's something you do until God call you home.
Yep.
You have to fulfill that mission. You have to press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling in Christ. And that is something that you evolve into more and more you do it. And my latest project, I've been doing these urban hikes, and I have the next one at the end of the month. It's April 26th. And I was like, God, I don't know if people going to keep signing up for these hikes. I said I'm going to do one a month for the year. That's how I came into 2025. And, you know, sometimes the day before the hike, it'd be like 0 bookings. And then I show up and people there. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm just going to trust you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, this is a praise report, and it's a funny story. So where I am, we meet at Emmett Reed.
Right.
And it's right there in Durkeeville. And behind Emmett Reed is the Maule Youth Foundation, okay? Maule is like a championship Olympic tennis player, if nobody knows. And on the tour, I take people to the building because there's this beautiful mural there, and it's a mural of Maule.
Okay.
And I have been saying, y'all, I ain't met Maule, but I love his organization, and I really love this mural because it brings beauty to the neighborhood. And, you know, one day he gonna be on this tour. So I come to one tour, and again, it was low bookings, and I think I had like one person. And this black guy pull up in his truck and say, "Hey, are you Dana?" I'm like, "Yeah, who are you?" He's like, "I'm Mal, Maule of Washington." He said, "Are you doing a tour today?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I join?" I'm like, "Of course." So the manifestation happened at that very moment. And that's what I would say to any SheEO. Just trust God. Sometimes you have to let go and let God. Just show up and God will do the rest. That's the faith zone. You just have to show up and let God do the rest. And I haven't been disappointed. I've been shocked more than anything about God, how God has sustained my business, and how really people have been responsive more than I expected. And I just know that, you know, the assignment that I have to spread this message about Northside pride and to amplify Black businesses, as long as I do that, everything else will fall in place.
You're right. You're right. And I love, we're going to end there. And you said, just show up and let God do the rest. All right. So this portion of the podcast or my show is sponsored by Honeybees. And today we have cake in a can.
I have one too?
Yes, you do.
Okay, let me see.
Cake in a can. And this flavor is confetti.
Okay.
And you can find cake in a can at www.honieb.com. And it is a cake jar reinvented. That's what they are. So it's the same as a cake jar that was in the mason jar, but I've reinvented it so that it is portable.
It's very cute.
It is
like
convenient.
you. This is you all the way.
Okay. And so now that we know that this portion is sponsored by Honeybee, so it's time to have some fun. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you just answer, and don't take too long, just answer, okay? All right. So the first one is, what colors do you prefer, pink or yellow?
Yellow.
Okay. All right. So heels or boots?
Heels.
Mm-hmm. Country music or R&B?
R&B. For sure.
Okay. Do you prefer babies or teenagers?
Babies. And I got both. Them teenagers can go. Love you night, babies.
All right. So long hair, don't care, or short, feisty cut?
Child, I'm growing my hair out right now.
So long and flowing.
I'm going to say short. I'm growing my hair out because my husband was tired of my shortcut.
Oh.
I might cut it again. So.
Okay, so you're a little bit feisty. Okay. All right. Well, we thank you so much for coming to sit down and talk to us about your new project. We wish you all the best. I know that it's going to be great. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah.
All right, SheEOs, thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time.
She